Hey guys, welcome to another episode of One Handy Guy. This is Tim. I'm just back with you following up on one of our previous videos that we did, just trying to follow up on creating the square for the fixture table. In our last episode, you'll remember we designed and got everything ready in Fusion 360, trying to get it all ready to cut. And I'm going to have to piece together this video, which I apologize in advance, but it was done in several different segments, so you'll forgive me for that. Instead of being able to do it live, just haven't got the camera thing down quite yet. But anyway, I was forced to cut some of it out at work because of the thickness of the metal. Just couldn't do it here at the shop. I've only got a razor weld 45 and I needed something with at least 65 amps, so I used the Hypertherm 65 at work on our Langmuire XR table, and we got the base pieces cut out, and I'm going to show you those right now just so you see how they turned out, and we're going to clean them up here in a second. So let me step over here, and you can see wasn't quite able to get the 5/8 inch, couldn't find any, so I had to settle for the 1/2 inch. But you can see what kind of cuts we got. They're not perfect, but they'll do for what we're doing. The other thing I think you'll notice, according to the design that we originally did, we didn't have these little cutouts here, and I decided that would be a good idea, because what we're going to do is make some 3/8 inch steel with lips that match, that fit together like a puzzle, and we're going to put those in here and then weld that all together to create a good base for the square. But overall, I think you get the idea of how this is going to work out. In this video, we're going to cut out these 3/8 inch pieces. We're going to clean all this up, and from there we'll weld them together and see how it works. One of the other things we're going to have to do, you'll see my holes didn't turn out quite perfect. I don't know if you can really see those up close, but we're probably going to have to drill those to get them exact, and it's not going to be a big deal. Also, the thickness, we're going to have to weld some washers here to create a little thicker metal, so it'll actually fit with the pins that we bought. So enjoy the show. We're going to get started right away. First thing we're going to do is start cleaning these up, so just hang with me. I'm going to turn the camera around. Put on some of my safety gear here. You don't want this stuff flying in your eyes, that's for sure. And you need to protect your hearing the best you can, so here we go. Some of this may get edited out just because I don't want to bore you. A couple things I want to point out when you're cleaning up your cutouts. That's the hard way. I mean, you'll notice on one side, and I still didn't get it all. I'm going to have to come back and clean that. But on the back side, there's always a lot more dross than there is on the front side when you're using a plasma cutter. So one of the tricks that I want to show you is not exactly that, but you can take, these are 2 more pieces, and we're not going to videotape cleaning these off, but you can see on this side, which is the top when you cut it, not a whole lot of dross, but if you look over on the back, you'll see all the dross, and that just means we didn't have our cutting speed set just perfectly right, probably a little too slow, and we're getting a lot of thick dross. But an easier way to get this off is just take one of your other pieces and just scrape it off. It comes right off. It's much easier than trying to use a grinder and dig down on that. If you look, just with that little bit of effort, I got most of that off that side. Now I'll be able to clean it up quickly. But that's just a tip. All right, I'm gonna stop filming there, and we'll pick back up when we get over to the plasma table where we're cutting our 3/8 inch pieces. All right, folks, we're getting ready to cut this out with our Langmuire Crossfire Pro, and I've already loaded up the Langmuire software. So I'm going to pull that up where you can see it here on the screen. This is their fire control software, and again, I've already loaded up the part, which I've titled table square size, and you can see right down here it tells us our overall dimensions of the part, which is 10 inches by 3 inches. So I've got plenty of room. First thing I want to do is swap out the tip on this. I think I've pretty well burned the tip up on this thing, so we're gonna swap that out, and I'll let you see how we do that. But all you got to do is unscrew this part right here, pick up your torch, and we're gonna unscrew this whole head, and we're gonna swap out these parts right here. You can see we've got a tip, and I hope you can see that, but it's pretty well burned out. This one also has got a lot of draw, so we're going to swap out these two parts. All right, we have two brand new ones that we're going to stick in there. We just drop the tip in, and then this part goes in the head into here. Screw that back together. And we're going to stick it in, just tighten it up by hand. Doesn't have to be any more than hand tight. All right, so we got new tips, and we should be ready to go. So I'm going to go back to my system, and I'll just swap back and forth here where you can kind of see what's going on. And I want to move my torch head to where I'm right in the bottom left corner. Oop, a little much. Okay, and I've got it where I want it, so now I'm going to zero, and notice it pulls it to the bottom left corner of the part. So I'm all set up and ready to go. You can look over here, I've got my program speed set to 23, which should be about right on a 45 amp cutter to cut 3/8 inch steel. And we'll just give it a whirl, see how it goes. I'm going to hit start, and then I'm going to swap over to one of the cameras that you can watch it cut. Okay, let's see if we can pop that out, and hopefully you can get a good look at that part. So we've got to do 3 more of those. I'm not going to videotape that process, but I think it turned out to be a pretty good cut. So we'll see you in a few minutes. Okay guys, so we're back. We've got all our parts cut out, cleaned up. You can see they turned out pretty good. I think we should be good to go. Our next step's going to be to weld these together. And I just want to warn you up front, I'm not a professional welder. Like I said, I'm just one handy guy. So I can weld good enough, and that's all that really matters when you're doing something like this. But this is my Everlast welder. It's been a really good machine, the Cyclone 262. It's been an excellent machine. And my whole setup, I keep my gas tanks over here. We're MIG welding today, so we're going to be setting all this up. I've already turned on my 75-25 gas, and I got all my pressures set correctly. The 90-10 is for what they call spray transfer welding, and we're not going to be doing that in this particular instance. So anyway, I'm going to try and film some of this welding. I'm not sure how that's going to turn out, but we'll give it a whirl. So once again, don't be hating. I'm still learning how to weld just like you learn how to do anything else. So let's just see how we do. And I'm not sure how well this is going to show up in the video, but we'll just kind of see how it plays out. One of the things when you're welding, you don't want to hot spot it. I don't know if you can see already, but as I welded that, the metal's already drawing that way. So I have to be really careful. I can't weld this whole side and then expect it to stay there. So I'm just tacking it right there, and then I'm going to drop a couple of welds on the other side to see if I can pull it back just a little. If you look here, you can see how we're tight there, and we've already pulled away over here. So let's work on that for a minute and see if we can get that to go back some. Probably going to have to get a clamp. Bear with me. Well, I don't think that clamp's going to work. I've got to be able to push this back in. That's going to take a little work. Okay, I think I can do it with one of my take one more clamp to help hold it down. Okay, it looks like we bridged the gap pretty good. Let's check that for square. Seems to line up pretty good. I think we're going to be all right there. Let's tack it here and then we'll flip it over and weld a little on the other side. Okay, I think that did what we needed it to do. So we got our 2 tacks in place on this side. I hope you can see that. So we've tacked it there and there. We're still good and square, so I think we should be good to go to tack this other side. Right now you can still see it's pulling away, so we've got to bring it back somewhat. Getting my stick out just a little too long there. Like I've always been told, you don't have to be a really good welder, you need to be a good grinder. As long as you can grind, you can make pretty much anything look pretty. So I think we've got it about like we want it. Now let's weld up this side. I'm not going to videotape welding all of them, but I want you to kind of see what we've done and how it's progressing. So we're going to weld along this side. I think we're pulled up pretty square. Then we're going to grind everything down, make it look pretty. We'll do the other side after that. So you can watch along as I weld this side. Alrighty, I think we got a pretty decent weld. We'll stop boring you from there and see what we can do after this. So appreciate you watching. Okay, so that's got everything welded up and cleaned up, and I think we finally got a finished product. Got one anyway, so got 3 more to build, and once I get done with all of them, I'm sure you'll see them in my future videos. But anyway, here's our square. I think it turned out really nice. So we went all the way from the design process through the cutout process to the cleat up, welding, and got it all done. Something I really like about these clamps, all you do is use that to get it unloosened a little, unscrew it, and once you get it where you want to do, once it's loose enough, it just pulls right out, and those little ball bearings catch underneath there. It just works for a great clamp. You push it in there, lock it down, take your Allen wrench, crank it down, and this bad boy ain't going anywhere. So I think it turned out really good. One of the things I thought was real interesting, I messed up in my design because I was accounting for 5/8 inch metal, and it actually left a lip coming down, so I didn't have to weld any washers on because it just wasn't thick enough. But you can kind of see how that turned out. It raised it up off the table and ended up being a mistake that worked out really, really good. So wanted to show you how this is just sets up just right, perfect. We got a perfect square going on. So as I'm welding together different designs, you'll see I'll be able to take my clamps and whatever I happen to be welding, just clamp that on there, and I'll be able to weld right in that corner. So once I get 4 of these done, we ought to be in really good shape. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it helped some of you realize that trying to design and weld and create, you got the right tools, not a big deal. Once again, this is Tim, One Handy Guy, and we'll see you in the next video.